This man is truly wicked. In front of a Nazi officer, he slapped the elderly woman hard, but as soon as the officer left, he instantly changed his expression, knelt on the ground and said he was forced to do it. When the Nazi officer came back again, he became brutally aggressive, tightened his grip around the old woman's neck, and even gave the officer a look that said, "You can trust me with this." Sure enough, when the officer left, he turned back into the old woman's friend. This two-faced bald man is someone even worse than the Nazis. He is the Jewish hunter Riphagen and a major Dutch traitor. He was the complete opposite of Schindler. Both used lies, but while Schindler saved everyone he could, Riphagen harmed everyone he found and even targeted his own people. However, the villain was never punished. This biggest traitor in the Netherlands during World War II lived comfortably into old age, which is truly outrageous. This film, based on a real person and real events, is called Riphagen and can be considered a dark version of Schindler's List. In 1944 at the Amsterdam police headquarters, the Nazi officer Toon passionately declared that there were barely any Jewish people left in Amsterdam, and if police in other cities were as diligent as you, our work would be much easier. So starting today, for every Jewish person captured, there will be a reward of 5 guilders, so get to work. Among the Dutch officers standing below, someone whispered that it was too late to think of that because the Jewish people had already gone into hiding. After Germany occupied the Netherlands, the local gang leader Riphagen immediately cooperated with the occupying forces, took a position in the security office of the SS, and gained an official Nazi background. He and his men found a Jewish woman hiding in a residence. Riphagen directly asked her where she kept her money, and of course she claimed she had nothing, but Riphagen removed her hairpin, and 3 bags of diamonds hidden in her hair fell to the ground. Riphagen did not take the woman away. Instead, he sent her to a place to stay, told her to settle in with peace of mind, and said he would find a way to get her safely to England. The woman smiled with relief, believing she had met a good man who truly wanted to help the Jewish people. When Riphagen returned to the station and heard Toon offer 5 guilders for capturing Jewish people, he said he was willing to pay 10 guilders and that all information related to Jewish people could be sold to him first. Photography was Riphagen's personal hobby, and he always carried a camera to take pictures whenever possible. Someone secretly slipped him information on 4 Jewish people, but the young officer Jan suspected Riphagen's intentions.
Ik probeer ze te helpen.
Wie?
Misschien later. Als ik weet aan welke kant je staat.
Jan appeared to be a police officer, but he was actually a member of the resistance, and they had always been trying to hide the remaining Jewish people. Riphagen was practicing his punches when Toon called him to the office, and Toon asked whether he had caught any Jewish people in the past few days, saying the most important thing was the money they carried. But Riphagen said he had not caught a single person and that all the information had been wrong. Toon handed Riphagen a file on a woman named Betch, a widow whose mother was Jewish and whose father was half Jewish, and as long as her family was spared, she was willing to talk. Toon hoped Riphagen could dig out some useful information and quickly capture more Jewish people because the empire was short on money. During the entire war, nearly 1/3 of the money spent by the Nazis was taken from Jewish people, so the Nazis were always eager to capture more. But Betch refused to cooperate and said she came from Rotterdam and did not know any Jewish people in Amsterdam. Since that was the case, she would be sent to a camp. And when she heard that, Betch immediately gave up the name of a member of the resistance. Toon left satisfied, and Riphagen told Betch to find that person while he kept a close eye on her so she would not try anything. Following the clues given by the police, Riphagen indeed found a Jewish man in hiding. The man was terrified, but Riphagen was not there to take him.
Ik denk dat ik u wel kan helpen, maar dan moeten we elkaar echt kunnen vertrouwen.
Riphagen went to a restaurant, and sitting with him was the same Jewish woman, and he told her the place was safe and handed her a diamond receipt issued by the security office. He said he had handed over 10 diamonds to the security office and that the rest would be kept for her until the war ended, and of course he could write her a receipt, but if it fell into someone else's hands, they would both be in danger. The woman was still unsure and wondered if he would really help her out of kindness. Most people would not, but Riphagen said he had a reason and told her a tragic love story about himself and a Jewish girl, saying he failed to save the one he loved most and had sworn to save more Jewish people to ease his wounded heart. The woman began to believe Riphagen and felt he was a deeply loyal and emotional man, but that alone was not enough to earn the trust of more Jewish people, so since he was acting, he needed to complete the whole performance. When he heard someone was planning to betray Jewish people, Riphagen beat the man badly and threw him out of the restaurant, telling him never to come back. This time the woman trusted Riphagen completely, She not only took a photo with him but also introduced her Jewish friends and relatives to him and sent over another batch of diamonds and jewelry. The woman even helped explain that he would give a small portion to the security office to deal with inspections while the rest would be kept safe and returned after the war. Riphagen could barely contain his excitement and happily took photos with all these Jewish people. This was Riphagen's strategy. He used the close relationships within the Jewish community so one person would lead to another, and all who trusted him would treat him as their savior. Riphagen welcomed them warmly as their supposed friend, and after stripping them of all their belongings he would take a final picture with them, which meant the people in the photos were worth nothing to him anymore.
En als u heel diep nadenkt?
Iedereen die ik vertrouw, die heb ik al naar je doorgestuurd, Dries.
The woman was already captivated by the bald man and kept giving him affectionate looks, but Riphagen showed no interest. She understood he did not feel the same way. So she gave him her necklace as a keepsake and urged him to take her to England. Riphagen hesitated and said he would arrange the trip soon, but in his mind he knew these people could not stay any longer. He gave the names of all the Jewish people the woman had introduced to the police, and these people who were waiting at home for good news after losing all their possessions were met instead by trucks that would send them to the camp. Only Jan understood that Riphagen had reported them. The woman was still waiting happily for Riphagen to come for her, but what arrived was the police. And when she learned that Riphagen had betrayed them, she was devastated, and in her despair she used her hairpin to end her life. Jan witnessed everything with his own eyes, and besides blaming himself for being powerless, he felt a deep hatred for Riphagen, and when he returned to the resistance base he washed again and again the blood of his own people from his hands. But he never imagined that the new member who joined the group, Betch, was actually an undercover agent of the security office. While he was drowning in grief, Riphagen was enjoying a life of pleasure with his young girlfriend in a house he had stolen from Jewish people. When luck comes, nothing can stop it, and Riphagen's pursuit of his girlfriend went just as smoothly. On his first visit to her home he ran into her drunken father abusing her mother, and Riphagen showed no mercy as he beat the man with a flurry of punches, and the mother immediately liked her future son-in-law. The young woman was completely taken by Riphagen. Their relationship heated up quickly, and Riphagen spent money like water, buying a convertible outright and taking her for romantic drives. The only thing that bothered her was that he worked for the Nazis, and it made her uncomfortable. But Riphagen had an excuse ready, saying he was not serving the Nazis but using his position to secretly help Jewish people, and he said the many photos he took with them were proof that he was their friend. His girlfriend easily believed his sweet words, but Toon was not so easy to fool. Someone reported that Riphagen had illegally taken over a Jewish house, and Toon told him to pack up and leave immediately, saying, "How dare you touch anything belonging to the Nazis, and who knows how much you have secretly taken." Toon was going to investigate him, but Riphagen quickly came up with a plan. He went to Betch again because it was time for her to play her part. He told Betch to reveal information about the key members of the resistance so he could escape Toon's investigation. Betch, guilt-ridden, still betrayed the resistance members and told Riphagen this was the last time and she would not betray anyone else. But Riphagen threatened her with her parents, saying, "Do you really want your whole family reunited in a camp?" So with Betch's superb acting, the resistance group was almost completely destroyed with only Jan left. Jan never imagined that the like-minded Betch was the one who had betrayed the organization, but he could not understand why she had not betrayed him. But when Betch glanced behind him, he also turned to look, and Riphagen was on the second floor taking a photo of the scene. Riphagen was the one behind Betch, and Jan's identity as a resistance member was now exposed. So he went into hiding and put Riphagen on the resistance death list. But Riphagen was living happily. He married his girlfriend, and she was already pregnant. One day Betch suddenly came to ask for the ID card Riphagen had taken from her. She had no value anymore and the security office was no longer watching her. She just wanted to return to her hometown. In the end Riphagen gave her the card back and warned her never to appear again.
Hoe lang moet ze nog?
Hoezo?
Ik hoop dat je kindje doodgeboren wordt.
A curse is nothing but a sign of helplessness, especially against someone like Riphagen, but this time it seemed to have some effect. On September 5, 1944, the Allied forces crossed the border and stepped onto Dutch soil. The security office fell into chaos. The officers began to flee, and Toon even stole Riphagen's fully paid convertible. Jan took the chance to slip into the security office, and his colleague Ari asked for Riphagen's current address, but they still arrived too late and did not find him. At that time Riphagen was buying another car for his escape, but this time he could not pay in full. After Riphagen fled, Amsterdam was not liberated, and 1 month later the Nazis came back. and Jan's former colleagues continued to serve the security office. But the resistance did not stay idle and began quietly eliminating traitors. Riphagen followed the German forces to the city of Assen and, posing as a Dutchman, forced Dutch people to confess. And when the Nazi officer was present, he brutally interrogated the elderly woman, and when the officer was gone, he kneeled and said he was forced. And when the officer returned, he attacked the elderly woman again, and when the officer left, he knelt down in guilt. The elderly woman was completely confused because she went from heaven to hell in a matter of seconds and her heart could hardly take it. Jan learned Riphagen's whereabouts from a former colleague and went alone to Assen, where he soon found him. Riphagen tried to talk his way out again when he saw Jan, but he never expected the kid to fire without hesitation, and Jan felt thrilled because he thought he had finally eliminated a traitor and avenged his fallen comrades. In 1945, when Germany announced its unconditional surrender, Jan, with his seniority, was summoned by the head of the National Security Bureau and assigned to capture war criminals and collaborators. And he even had a good chance of becoming the local commander of the bureau. But unexpectedly, Riphagen limped back alive, and he asked his wife to leave the country with him. Yet she believed he had not done anything unforgivable and that he only needed to apologize instead of going abroad to hide. She had no idea that her husband was responsible for persecuting countless people and that only death could be considered a proper apology. Riphagen already had a plan and went to the local commander, claiming that the traitors were Jan and Bej and that they were the ones who had betrayed the resistance. And he said Jan tried to kill him to silence him and frame him. The most shocking thing was that he had photos clearly showing Jan and Bej standing before the bodies of resistance members. And to cooperate with the investigation, he even gave up many of his old accomplices, saying they all worked for the Nazis and had taken far too much from Jewish people. Although the commander did not fully believe Riphagen, he certainly trusted Jan less. And once they found Bej, all answers would be revealed. More importantly, if they exposed Jan and Bej for betraying the resistance, they might topple Jan's superior, who was the highest commander of the bureau, and the current commander could become the new leader. Bej was finally found by the commander's assistant, and while the assistant went to call the commander, Riphagen appeared like a ghost and threatened her to accuse Jan, saying they betrayed the resistance together, or he would kill her parents. Bej had already been completely controlled by him, and even though he had no authority anymore, she still did not dare resist. She had betrayed too many people already, and this time she did not want to betray Jan, who had once shared a mutual affection with her. But for her parents' safety, she could not accuse Riphagen either, so she took the blame alone. She said she accepted 1,000 guilders from Thun and betrayed the resistance, and she would rather face execution than tell the truth. And she was both pitiful and tragic. Riphagen noticed another problem. Because Bej did not betray Jan or expose him, Jan would guess someone had threatened her, and that someone could only be Riphagen, which meant Jan might already know he was alive. So he needed to leave immediately. He began fooling the assistant, saying he had a treasure of Jewish jewels stored in a bank in Luxembourg, and told the assistant that this was Jan's real goal because Jan wanted those possessions. The gullible assistant believed him at once, and he thought that if he recovered those jewels he would be promoted. So he went with Riphagen's wife to collect them, while Riphagen went to the commander and admitted he had been lying the whole time. Everyone thought Riphagen was dead, and only the commander had hidden him, believing he was his strongest bargaining chip to topple his rival. But instead he was played like a fool. If this scandal was exposed, he would not only become a laughingstock but also lose his position. So Riphagen convinced him again and had the assistant find a car to help him escape across the border. Meanwhile, Jan found Bej and confirmed that Riphagen was alive and hiding under the commander's protection. But when he arrived, Riphagen was already gone and had not even taken his wife and child. The assistant told Jan there might still be a chance because Riphagen said he would call after crossing the border and ask the assistant to send his wife and child. So Jan went to Riphagen's wife and revealed that her husband was a collaborator. She refused to believe it, saying the people in the photos were those he had helped and that when they returned he would give back the jewels he had kept for them. And she insisted he was a good man. But Jan told her those people would never come back because they were sent to the camp in Poland, and she still tried to defend him, saying he had no choice and everyone struggled to survive in those times. Jan then showed her the photo of the Jewish woman and the photo of her death, saying this woman was driven to her end by your husband, and she had never been sent away. And he asked her whether the necklace on her neck looked familiar. The wife noticed that the necklace was the same one Riphagen had given her. Then a call came from Riphagen telling her to meet him quickly, and she asked him if the necklace was the same one from the woman in the photo. And he lied without hesitation and said she had given it to him to thank him and that he had already sent her safely away. The wife finally understood his true nature, and she did not tell him Jan was there. And when Riphagen gave the meeting location, she hung up in sorrow. because the people he had harmed were also her own people. Jan went to the meeting place alone, determined to make this traitor pay for all the lives he had taken, and Riphagen told him to think carefully because it was peacetime and killing him would bring punishment, and he said he would reveal all secrets so Jan could earn honor, and if he died Betch would be executed, and she was such a good girl, and he claimed he was the only one who could save her. Thinking of the girl who once danced with him, Jan let his guard down, and Riphagen used the moment to kill the naive young man. This collaborator never received proper punishment and instead fled to Argentina, where he became close to the president and his wife and even founded an intelligence group and served as their advisor. Until 1988 the Dutch authorities issued an order for his arrest, but he had already died in 1973 in a private clinic in Switzerland. This major war criminal of the Netherlands lived his whole life without facing trial and enjoyed a comfortable old age. But the Jewish people he betrayed died without peace in the camps, and the brave people who tried to expose him also died on lonely roads. If Riphagen ever faced any punishment at all, it was that he never saw his wife and son again. I am a film lover. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.